guys ever feel like you're stuck? You know, I mean, we all do at certain times, but I mean, really stuck playing some boring shit on the guitar, or you're just strumming chords, or you're playing some single line stuff, and you don't really know how to combine necessarily chords with soloing or lead lines. Well, that's what this lesson is going to be about today. It's going to be very simple, just bringing it into a blues, making it a little bit more interesting from the basic, just playing chords for the blues or just soloing randomly using the pentatonic scale. We're going to break it down to a very easy to understand way to play that's simple. You can see not a lot of complicated stuff, not a lot of whittly diddly going on, but it sounds really cool because it's leading. The lines are leading from one chord to the next, and it starts to make sense. It almost starts to sound a little bit more jazzy because you're playing the changes, okay? You hear that term all the time. So what are we actually talking about? We're talking about playing chord tones, combining chord tones and scales, but it's going to be a lot simpler than that. It sounds complicated. Let's just dive right in, okay? So this is what it's going to look like. So here we are talking about a B flat blues. It could be the A blues, G blues, doesn't matter. I just chose B flat because. So there's B flat dominant 7. And to just play a little blues by yourself, you know, self-accompaniment, you want like a little head. What's a head? Like a melody. So we'll do something pretty much out of the pentatonic scale. All right, so that's the rhythm that we're going to have. So you make some movement. Really, I could just do this. That's cool too, but to give it some movement, I'm throwing in some hammer-ons. Okay, even though I'm just around a B dominant 7 or a B flat dominant 7th, I'm flattening this out almost like an E flat. This is a very common movement in the blues. The 4 chord, which is the E flat dominant 7, just a standard dominant 7 bar chord. That's another thing that you can do commonly, just slide down, approach it from 1 fret below or 1 fret above. That's too much movement, but as an example. So back to the actual bluesy kind of self-accompaniment blues thing. There's a 5 easily reachable here, so out of the caged sort of system, if you will, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I mean it makes sense, I guess. So there's a C major, C dominant 7. It's the same kind of thing here, but the root note is on the F, on the 8th fret. Back to the 1. Now you want to add some sort of melody on that, right? So I'll pick something kind of out of the pentatonic or blues scale, that B flat dominant 7 or B flat blues scale. So it's just the pentatonic with an extra note there, right, and here. Now, so did you catch that? So I'm skipping a string here. I'm going from the 1st string to the 3rd string, 4th. That's slow enough for you guys to be able to catch that, right? Now this note isn't, sorry guys, this note isn't in the scale, you notice. It's not in the blues scale. But because it's a dominant 7 chord, it's in the chord. It's that major 3rd, right? And that's the blues rub, is the major 3rd and minor 3rd kind of rub, that sound. You'll hear that often like bent in. Anyway, so I'm throwing that in there. You could do it, make it minor. But I think it's just a little bit more on the money when you're spelling out the chord a bit. Now, what did I do there? I spelt out the changes. All right, I ended on a different last note. Everything was the same. So I landed on the root note the first time of the 1st chord. I landed on the root note the 2nd time the 4 chord there. That E flat, right? It's just chromatic move up. So it leads into that chord a little bit better. And then back into the 1 chord. Back to the regular. So right there, that's the root note of the 5 chord, that F7. It's in the chord as well, the shape. So all together, it just sounds kind of cool and funky, and it's a way that you can kind of accompany yourself. So let's try that again. So what I was doing there until the end was I was kind of running away from the head or the melody of the song and just putting in fills. But again, the same idea. You're landing on root notes. Okay. Now you don't have to land on the root note every time. Let me change the angle. Hey guys, you don't have to land on the root note all the time. All right. You can land on different chord degrees. Okay. Or different scale degrees for that matter. But if you're aiming to have it sound more complete and together, then you want to land on chord tones. Okay, I know it can be tough at first if you don't really know what those things are, but that's why I say just follow the shapes of your fingers. Okay, your fingers are playing those notes, even if you don't know all the notes and the tones of each chord. Just play where your fingers are sitting, man, and those are your target tones. So you dance around those target tones with the pentatonic scale or the blues scale. If you're a little more advanced, you can use some Mixolydian stuff. Or you can even combine the major and minor pentatonic scale. But these are all different ideas to make the blues a little more interesting and fun when you're just kind of hanging out and playing by yourself. So get to it, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you like this little lesson. Take it easy.